first of all, Aaron, for those of you who don't know, just give us all a little introduction to yourself and who you are, what you do, and basics, you know.
Well, so my name is I'm Aaron, and I was a singer for both Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law, amongst many other Disney shows. I've been doing it for about as long as I can remember. I think like however long Phineas and Ferb has been around. And I went to. We were just talking before the thing went live. I went to film school. Um, because I wanted to make movies, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, no, I do a lot of different things.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm very happy.
with film school, were you recording for Phineas or Milo while at film school? Did you have to like fly back to record some stuff?
Didn't have to fly back, which was very, very nice. But there was a couple of times where Milo was starting around the time that I was at NYU for 2 years. And so the first couple of tunes that I did, they did what's called an ISDN record, which is where they patch into another studio. So
Oh,
I was at a studio. I was in like a regular studio in New York called Out Loud, and then they were here at the Out Loud in Los Angeles, and so I could hear them perfectly in my headphones, as if they were like right across, like on the other side of the glass from me. And I did the first few Milo tunes there, and then when I moved back, obviously I did all
yeah,
the
like
rest of
so.
those
So
here.
don't break me was recorded over the phone, or
Which one was? I think it was something. I think it might have been Don't Break Me. It might have been Chop Chop Chop. I don't remember which one it was, but one of the first ones that I did was for Milo was around that time, because that would make
yeah.
sense, like 2013 or 14. Yeah.
I feel like Chop 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 was like part of the pitch for Milo too, because that was like I know they used that in like a lot of episodes before that, before it was
They
like
did.
officially introduced. So you kind of had to have that one done early. So
My anthem.
just 24/7, just in college, you just just listen.
I have nothing else on my Spotify. It's very embarrassing.
Wow. All right. So how did you get to like know dance? You said you've kind of been doing it for as long as you can remember. What was your first time meeting Dan Swampy like? And like how did you just like sing a couple tunes and they're just like, oh, please come on the show? Or was it like through your dad or?
Well, my dad. Okay, so my dad is a musician. He's been a composer and a music producer and guitarist for his entire life. And so in when I was very, very young, he started getting into composing for TV animation. So like he did like the theme song for the Lilo and Stitch show. He did the theme song for the Emperor's New Groove show, Emperor's New School. Like, and he got all these little jobs. And Phineas and Ferb was like the first time that he was able to do the songs and the score for an entire show. And like little old me, like five, like 8 or 9 years old, like I had done like theater. I was a little bit of like a theater nerd. Like I'd been singing, and back then we were living in a house where like he had his studio set up in like a little guest room. I was right across from me. And so one time, and I can't for the life of me remember what song it was, because it's been so many years ago. But he needed a demo singer that didn't sound like a 50-year-old man. Love you, Danny. But so he's like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And so I sang the demo. Then it was going to be replaced, I think, by Phineas or by Vincent or something like that. And then they replaced it, but then they said, you know what, that would be, maybe you should go and do one. So the first song that they asked me to do was Finadroids and Furbots. And that was the first song that I ever did, and you couldn't tell because I was singing through a vocoder, because it's very like distorted and a robot-y. And then like season 1, it wasn't really a lot, and then season 2 they asked me for like a couple more, and then season 3 and season 4 is when I kind of became like, all the regular singers that came on to Phineas, like Robbie
Yeah.
Wyckoff and Laura Dickinson and all those folks. I kind of sort of started to match them and all the tunes that I were doing. By the time season 4 hit,
It was just like every other week. It's like, all right, coming to record a song.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. No, but it was very like, it wasn't planned. Like I didn't sing it I didn't like do these demos and thinking that I would be like asked to come back. Like I was really just doing it a favor for my dad. And then they asked for me, which was really lovely.
Was your dad taking the money for Finadroids and Furbots? He was like, oh son.
Oh, sorry, man. What's a Coogan account, man? I don't.
Exactly. It's like, this is for college. This is for your college fund.
Yes. Yes, and boy did I use it for college. Good God.
Yeah, no. So yeah, first song you sung was Phineas and Furbots. Do you remember watching that air on TV for the first time? What it was like, or
you know what? I have a more vivid memory of going to Disneyland and watching a Phineas and Ferb live show where they did Finidroids and Furbots in the live show. Because I was watching Phineas and Ferb just as a kid. Like I was my dad was working on it, but I was a fan, so like it didn't quite like register it for me because I had seen these episodes in all different stages, so I'd seen that iRobots episode like dozens of times, so it wasn't really that special.
Right.
What was weird was when I was at Disneyland and then I heard that song. I'm a big Disneyland fan. I love that place.
Yeah,
so, like,
absolutely.
Hearing even my distorted, weird, roboty voice at Disneyland, that was weird. That was where I was like, this is bizarre. This is not supposed to be like this.
This is crazy.
I'm gonna walk away.
the cultural impact of it, it's like it just starts so small and then just all the way.
I know
out
that was a weird thing for me to be also very young and for me to feel that too. That was really some very crazy, but also very, very special.
Yeah. So like, how long did it take from like you recording the Finidroids and Furbots to like that episode airing? Because I think you had mentioned earlier like Chop 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 around like 2013, but Milo didn't premiere till like 2016. So that's like a 3-year gap between when you hear these songs and then they finally make it on TV, right?
Well, that's the cool thing about how Dan and Swampy work is that and this is pretty standard. Like, so a lot of the songs are written a lot of times before even the shows are written. And like a full episode takes about like, I don't know, 10 months to a year to produce from the moment it's written to when it's done and then air it on Disney. So a lot of times my dad, for example, would get songs with no context, like Drusselstein Driving Test Waltz, with no context whatsoever, and just has to make it, and just has to make the song. And then like for him, it would be like 6 or 7 months later, maybe even a year later, the episode would come in, and then he would do the score for it. So like,
he'd be like, "Oh, I remember this song from 8 months ago."
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, that's what this song is about. So it's quite a while a lot of times between when the song is written. It's a lot of times, again, because that's even before the show is written too. They'll have just like an idea and they'll write a song for it, and then my dad will do the production for it. I get to sing it, and then many months later it'll show up at my dad's computer again, and then many months after that it'll show up on Disney.
That's crazy. So did you ever actually help write any songs for Milo, or was it all just the singing? Like, was there ever a songwriting session you were part of?
I wish I had written songs for Milo or Phineas. Unfortunately, I did not. That's all. I have to give all of the credit for the actual writing of the songs to Dan and Swampy, and then the writers too. There's a couple of the writers like Josh Pruitt, Martin Olson, all these folks that were kind of the same crew from Phineas also transitioned over to Milo. It was a very similar group of people. All of them were kind of all involved in these popping out these songs every single week. It's just absolutely insane.
It's crazy. I think they had like over 300 is the guy who did a video recently said. It was like, and I mean some of them are just like short music stings too. Like
I think it might be closer to 400 actually. If I remember for Phineas, I think at least. Maybe that number's coming out of songs maybe that weren't used or something like that, or maybe longer versions of songs.
Yeah.
But I think my dad and I were talking. He's got, obviously just for business reasons, he has a list of all the songs that were done, and I remember that list at least being closer to like 400.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of deleted songs that don't make it, or they just like don't fit right in the context of an episode or wherever it is. Mm-hmm. And like sometimes it's great that we get to see them, like Mysterious Force, but other times they're like lost.
Yeah, exactly.
The mystery. It's like, how could you not? Yeah, I can't imagine not hearing Mysterious Force. It's just too good.
The best is when there's a longer version of a tune that doesn't make it into the show. That's always a bummer. I get it as someone who now works in animation too. Like I get it, but it is always a bummer.
So it's often a bit hard to tell, who contributed to which episode because the credits are all just basically music by Danny Jacob. But I know on your site it said that you've had some like contributions to the musical score for Milo. So like, what's the process with getting credit? Is there like a certain amount of music you have to do to be credited on the show, or?
So this is funny. So when I was older and my like first job while I was in college and like right out of college was I was basically my dad's composing assistant, because like I just growing up in that house, growing up with my dad, my mom, it was also for the longest time a music supervisor and the head of the music department over at DreamWorks. So like film music was all kind of in my house. So like I had like an ear for composing, and so I wanted to sort of learn more about that. So I became his music editor and his assistant. One of the jobs that I did for Milo was, not often, but sometimes if there was something big that he was working on, I would take music that he had already written for Milo and cut it in,
Rearrange it or kind
rearrange it or something like
do a
that.
new,
And yeah, and then sometimes I would write something that he did not write that I wrote on my own, and I would just slip it in.
Oh.
And then when he approved it, I would then reveal. I was like, "Oh, guess what? You didn't write that. It was me." And it's me. He was fortunate enough to give me what's called cue sheet credit for it, which is not it doesn't mean a screen credit, but it means that on like the back end paper that shows like who wrote each piece of music, like my name is on there, and I get to put that on like my resume and all those different things. So like I didn't do that often because it's bad. Don't do that. Don't do things you're not told to do. But I did that enough, and then eventually he started to trust me to where there's a couple of cues in there kind of spattered around that I was able to do. A lot of times I'd write something too and he'd rearrange it in his way too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that happened. It's not really
that's really cool. You kind of get to add your own little touch to the show, and
yeah,
make your dad proud. And
yeah, no, it was a good, like I'm thankful enough to have been able to be given that opportunity, so I could like put it on a resume or something like that, because that's something nice that I can now tell people that I did, which was really nice.
So what's kind of when you were not necessarily at college, but like when you were in California where they record, like what's the recording process like? Would they send you the first draft of the song and you rehearse? Like this is after you stopped doing scratch and or demos. It's like they send you the first version of the song and then you kind of practice it at home, or do they just like bring you into the studio and they work you through the song, like kind of directing you? It's like, oh, we want this vocal tick and this, or like what's the process? Do you hear the first draft? All that.
Yeah, so like when I'm at home, when I was in Los Angeles, my dad records most of the vocals in his own home studio, so that was kind of nice. I didn't have to like necessarily go and like drive out to Hollywood or something and like try to find parking, which is nice. I could just go over to my dad's house, pet the dog, and sing a song. There are some times where they've brought me in for like an actual like session for whatever reason. There's always reasons that are not currently clear, but a lot of times what will happen is I'll get, when I'm brought in, a lot of times my dad has either produced a majority of the song, or he'll have just done, maybe he'll have done the whole thing, or maybe he'll just do like a piano and drums or something like that. And I'll get that, and I will listen to that forever in my car. And I will then, so I'll have a little bit of rehearsal time. A lot of times it's like a day or something like that. I've gotten songs like, maybe like 30 minutes before, which has been kind of exciting. Sometimes I'll figure it out on the day, which is really exciting too. And then I'll go in and I'll record it. And then sometimes, and now that I have my little like big old like weird mic. Oh, it's blocked by this.
There it is.
I have this like, yeah, my sort of like studio quality microphone that I have in my apartment now. Like if there's a lot of times there'll be pickups. So like they'll change a lyric or they'll want a melody change like way late in the game, and sometimes I'll go in to do those. A lot of times I can just do them from home because they're really small. But
yeah, throw on some reverb and EQ it, and it'll all be good.
Man, Pro Tools.
Yeah. All right. So you got to be the singing voice for Zack on Milo Murphy's Law, tying from Mackay Curtis's performance, and the transition from singing to speaking. I'd say it's pretty seamless. So is there a way that you practice singing in different accents or styles when you do that? And was it like a process to audition for the singing voice of Zack? Or are they just like, you got it, you got the job?
That was another instance of I sang the demo just because I just sang the demo, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're just gonna keep you." And I was like, "What?" Which is that was really special because like I mean I sang like lead vocals, like I was the main singer on a couple of songs of Phineas and Ferb. I didn't really get to sing as a character,
Right.
which or like a recurring character. You know, a lot of times like there's the B-Day episode I think from Phineas where I'm like there's the guy that sings that's like a guy in like a hat or something. Like that's about the closest that I can get to being a character, but like a named character, somebody I hadn't had the chance to do that. So when Chop 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 got approved with my vocal, they just decided that, oh well, Zach's gonna sing a couple more songs and then we'll just have Aaron do it, which is very, very special. And like I didn't expect that. And Makai, who I haven't met in person, but is just over Twitter and is like the sweetest human being on the face of the planet. As always, people compliment him for Chop Chop Chop, and he's like, no, it was Aaron. So like he's a really, really sweet,
that's
kind
fantastic.
dude. And as for like process, like I wish there was something that I wish I like sit in a closet and did like meditation or something to like get into these characters. Like, a lot of times I
feel Zack.
Yeah, I feel Zack. No, a lot of times it's just, at least for like Drusselstein, it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna do a grossly inappropriate German accent and see what happens.
Gas, shift, brake.
No, I mean, I've done voice matching now 3 times for 3 different shows. So I did Zack, obviously. There's one prince in Sophia the First, in the first episode of Sophia the First, that I did a voice match for. And then the 3rd season of The Lion Guard, I got to be the singing voice for Kion, the main character, which was really nice. And that one I had to audition for. That one was they were looking for someone to sound, I think they just wanted someone to sound older because that character had aged significantly in the 3rd season. So that one I had to audition for, and there was people, and I got picked just based on my voice alone, which I thought was really, really, really special.
So did Dan and Swampy ever tell you that your singing voice was going to be the last thing that people heard in Phineas and Ferb at the end of the show? And how did that make you feel? And was that one particularly scary?
That whole period in my life is very blurry to me, but because of like that was a year. What year did Phineas and Ferb end? Was that
the last episode came out in 2015? But like the only episodes that aired in 2015 were Act Your Age and Last Day of Summer. So it was like,
okay, great. So that was the year that I had gone to NYU, and then I decided to move back to Los Angeles because I didn't like it there. So that was a really weird transitionary period in my life that is kind of like a blur. On top of the fact that this show that I had known for as far as I don't remember much of my life that didn't have Phineas and Ferb or Milo Murphy's Law in it, and to have been told, oh yeah, you're gonna sing the finale, is weird, and that it was like I was claiming ownership over something that wasn't really mine, because it was Dan's, it was Swampy's, it was everybody that worked on the show, it was all the fans that loved this show, and like the fact that I got to sort of be the send off for it was kind of, I remember like we all went to Dan's house to watch the finale live, and it was all the writers, all the some of the directors. Vincent was there, Allison Stoner was there.
Oh wow,
like
the
a couple
crew.
of people just I know, but it was like a little tiny, like in like a little like living room. We were just all we watched Act Your Age, and we watched the finale, and that I don't typically cry when I watch things. That seeing that, yeah, like what did it feel like to watch Finidroids and Furbots on screen? I don't really remember that, but I do remember hearing that, seeing Phineas wave, and then cut to credits, and that's it. That's all of Phineas. I mean, there was like a couple specials that happened afterwards, but like at the time, that was it. That was all the Phineas and Ferb were gonna get. This thing that had been so close to heart that I can't remember my life without it was ending, and it was me and the other singer Jen Hirsch and my dad, and that was it.
Singing it was the last weird. Notes of Time Spent Together, which that song is particularly brilliant, just because you get, the kind of the soft mellow part of it, the reflecting on the storm, but you also get the epic rock action, and then they at the very end just bring it back to the quiet, more mellow ending and close out with the Phineas waves. So yeah, that's
I
That's
think
amazing.
those guys wrote a really poignant and like powerful finale, and I'm just so lucky that I was able to have a little slice of it that I could call mine, because it isn't just mine, it's everybody's.
Is there a song from either series that you still like to sing a lot that makes you laugh or cry? Well, I'm guessing not cry because you said you don't usually cry when you listen to or watch things. But like, is there a song that still will make you laugh when you hear it?
From Phineas and Ferb, for some reason, Disco Miniature Golfing Queen gets stuck in my head on a constant basis. Constant. And I don't know why. And it makes me laugh a lot.
It's a catchy one.
It's a really weird, catchy one, and I love it so much. From Milo, it's a song that I did, but it's honestly one of my favorite things that I've ever done is taken a stroll from Milo
Oh my
Murphy's
gosh,
Law.
taking a stroll
That
is
one gets stuck in my head a lot, just because that sounds like the way they wrote it. It sounded like it came out of the American Songbook, like it came out of like one of those like 1920s, 30s jazz songs that people like redo over and over and over again. And I did my like stupid radio announcer voice for it, but that gets stuck in my head too, and that one always makes me smile too, just because that was a great tune to be able to
I
sing.
think they added
I'd
like a
say those
little
two.
radio twinge to that one too in the final version. Or it's like it's not enough to
They
make it
did,
sound
yeah.
like
So
it's coming from a radio, but it's rustic, and maybe
yeah,
that's the
they,
right
they
word.
they they did it so like the first part of it, I think they put through a filter. They put through an EQ filter to make it sound all crunchy and tinny. And then like when the song when it cuts more when it gets more into the montage, the sound opens up and it's just me sounding like I have a bunch of snot in my nose singing, and then it goes back to the radio. Um, that one gets stuck in my head a lot.
Did they use the full version for that one in the show, or is there a third verse for
No,
that one?
that one's actually all of it.
That one's all
That
of
one's
it.
the whole song.
Okay, that's good. That's
That
good.
one's the whole song. Gratefully, a lot of them are really short. A lot of them are just sort of written to be 2 minute songs, just because that's all you can really do in animation.
Right.
That one I can happily report there is no other version of that song that I know.
Woo! We got the full. Did you sing "Just Messing Around" as well in that same episode?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's always fun to learn that I'm doing both of the tunes for both episodes, or like two episodes
That was
in
well.
two songs in one episode.
That was
That's
kind of
always
fun with
fun.
Milo. They were able to stick two songs in like the same episode sometimes, which is pretty fun.
That's always fun. And again, because I record them forever, way in the past, I have no context. I have no idea that this song is going to be connected with this song. There's a song, "This Is Really Happening" from Milo, where everybody's in slow motion. I had no idea what that song was going to be about. So it's always just fun to realize, I did that song a year ago, and now it's in this very silly montage. I imagine Dan and Swampy in some cardboard box somewhere in Burbank, just writing all these tunes, and then all of a sudden they just show up as these beautifully produced songs that are like record quality. That's Disney magic, is what that is.
Definitely, that
in
is the
its
real
truest
Disney
form.
magic. So let's see. So I know you've written some scripts according to like your personal website, and you've done some directing and some editing, and you've supervised for a couple animated series for Netflix, which seems to be one of the newer things. So what's exciting you the most now in your career? And do you have a particular end goal or dream project as a filmmaker? Like there's something where it's like this would be I've made it.
Yeah, well, my full-time job, because everybody's got to keep the lights on, is I work at a company called Bento Box, and they do a bunch of animated shows for a lot of different networks. Their biggest thing is Bob's Burgers. We don't get to touch Bob's Burgers. I'm in a whole other building. But I do like post-production coordination for that company. But yeah, no, I went to film school, so I was trained mainly. I ended up landing on screenwriting. Like that was the thing that I really connected with. But then there's that other composing thing that I kind of discovered just because I grew up in that house with my dad and with my mom. And like I've been able to like really hone, or at least try to at least hone my skills in like both of those fields. So like the writing and the composing. Like I do a lot of like my friends like thesis films, like when they came out of film school, like
Yeah.
I would do I would do the music for their movies because they were too scared to talk to the music majors. And that's something like I've really been trying to like get really good at that, because I'm not a classically trained musician, so like I have to like work overtime to make sure that like that sounds as good as as good as it can possibly be. And the writing is something I can do whenever I want. Like I've written a ton of different things. I've made some of the things that I've actually been able to make into little short films in school or outside of school. And like I think like either of those two, being in like following the music path and being a composer or music producer and keeping the singing in my life in either of these would be that. But like being a composer or being some sort of a writer or like an executive producer on my own TV show or like being a staffer in a writer's room like that, I would love either of those two things, with the singing kind of being something that I could always like fall back on
Do on the
because I feel
side,
comfortable in
yeah.
it.
So you wouldn't really consider
Yeah.
professional singing unless it was tied to a film aspect of some sort?
I mean, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
It's like we signed you on for an album. No, please.
No, please, you mock me. No, I would. I mean, that would be amazing. It's not something that I ever expect. I'm very, very like, the singing is always something that I got to do. It wasn't. It was like a fun thing that happened randomly that like I at least I don't think could ever be I never, or at least I never thought of it as a career, just because I kind of just stumbled into it one
It
day.
wasn't at the forefront of
So
you.
it
It wasn't
never
something you
felt
like
like,
actively pursued.
right, like I wanted to make movies. I wanted to be that guy. But the singing has always been something that I've been grateful for. Because it is a job. There is a little bit of money that comes in with it. But like again, because I kind of stumbled into it, because it wasn't something that I originally thought, it's never something that I ever considered. Now, if somebody said, "Hey, do you wanna make a record?" I'm gonna say yes, of course I am. That sounds like a lot of fun. But I right now at least I love the ability to make music. I love the ability to write stories. Like those are the things that I do really, really late at night to be happy. So like if I could turn that into a career, obviously that'd be great. And the singing has always been in my life, and I know will always stay in my life in some way. So it's not like I'm gonna ever lose that if I decide to pursue something else.
No, that's really good. Have you ever actually gotten to pitch like a show or a movie to a group of executives or
um, I did once. And I will not name names
No,
or
no, of
say
course,
or say
no.
anything. And it was the kind of thing where like I was very fortunate enough to have been given the opportunity, but it was right as I was finishing college.
Oh, so you're kind of in that weird transitional period that you're talking
Right.
about where
So like
everything's
I
just
was
kind of
exactly. So
flying.
like I was very, very like I was in that we talked about this right before, but like I wanted to finish, like I wanted to get that degree. And I wanted to like, for that to be my accomplishment. And like I was in a place where I couldn't like, if I really wanted to like sit down and refine, because I went in for a pitch, they gave me notes, and I couldn't wrap my head around putting attention into that when I was also trying to put my attention into finishing
Right.
school. But another thing that happened that was really cool, the feature film that I wrote out of Chapman got optioned to a company out in New York, which doesn't really mean much. It just means that for all the folks that don't know, optioning a script means that they have the right to sell the script on your behalf to other people. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to make the movie.
So it's kind of like getting an agent for your script, sort
for
of.
like a short period of time. Yeah, because like it means that like for a company or a person is like your script's champion for like 12 months or 18 months. It's no guarantee that it's going to be a movie, but like it was really nice to have somebody who saw something in something that I wrote, and then put it out into the world. And it unfortunately, as it happens to so many other people, nothing happened. But that script it was like a little really depressing World War I movie that I wrote, and it's something that I'm very, very proud of. But I hope to one day get back into a room with somebody.
If you didn't know, there's I don't want to say it's a war. I'd say it's more of a slight contrast. It's definitely not after talking about. There's the people who ship Melissa and Zack and the people who ship Milo and Melissa. And the Milo and Melissa people are very strongly sad because of the Milo season 2 finale. So there appears to be a lot of discussion in the chat about why Milo and Melissa is the better ship.
Why Milo and Melissa is a better ship? I don't know if I want to. First of all, I don't know if I have an opinion, and I don't want to be burned at the stake. I have. I think there are storytelling reasons for why it happened in the way that it did, just based on like the kinds of characters that Zack and Melissa are,
Definitely.
the kind of characters that Milo is like, and I will leave it at that.
That's a good answer. Good answer. I kind of just work with whatever the writers give, and they kind of put Milo and Amanda together from very early on. So,
and I also loved Amanda's character.
Oh yes.
I fell in love with Amanda just because she reminds me of a couple of people in my life, and so like to me, even though she wasn't like me, she was very relatable because she reminded me of people that are like that, who are very motivated and very like excitable,
organized too. Yeah,
organized, exactly, which I'm not, and so maybe I respect her a lot more. But I don't know. I think she's a great character. I think I was really pleased that character
definitely
was introduced.
And from a writing perspective too, like she's the yin to Milo's yang, where Milo's all the chaos and disaster, and she's the organization and perfection. And
exactly.
From a writing perspective, makes for a strong.
Yeah,
ship.
It makes sense. Like it makes sense. Again, my opinion is nebulous and void, and we'll stay that way. But yeah, I love all those characters.
Yeah. All right. So, what advice would you give? I mean, you kind of fell into this, but what advice would you give to someone looking to go into like the animation industry specifically? You know, as far as music production or singing, like maybe from how your dad got in there, or like the other fields within animation? Because I don't think. Do you draw or no?
No, God, no. I wish. I am so very envious of the people that draw. My job in all the things that I've done for animation. So in this case, it's been singing, and then production, are all things you can do without knowing how to draw a stick figure.
Yeah. So for the people who like can't draw, what advice would you give just for the industry as a whole?
I'll say this. I think for the production job. So if you want to do the production-y things, the way that I got that job was kind of, I was in the right place at the right time. This company was needed a position to be filled very, very quickly, and I had just had a little bit of animation in my background because of the music editing that I did for Milo, and then I interned with an animation company during college for like 2 months. And they were looking for somebody. They needed someone immediately. They took a chance on me, and I've been working there for a year and a half. But a lot of it, for people that want to go into animation production, there are so many Facebook groups that are. One of them is called like Awesome Assistants, which is like specifically animation assistants and production coordinator like Facebook group. And everybody's always talking about things and talking about different openings that are maybe not listed on the job websites. And like, I would say if that's what you want to do, try to get the first PA job that you can find.
Yeah.
And just take a leap of faith, because somebody will be hiring out of desperation, because it happens all the time. People quit, something happens, and they have to leave.
They still have to meet deadlines.
Exactly. And then as it comes to singing, I wish I could say that like there is some like thing that I did to get into it. I'm very privileged to have been in a position where I had a lot of opportunities that a lot of people have, and I try to stay as humble as I can about that, because I get this question a lot. Actually, a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, how did you get into it? Do you have an advice for people to get into it?" And it's tricky for me because
Nepotism.
yeah, nepotism, exactly. I like to think that the nepotism, quote unquote, opened the door for me, but then it was that I tried to make sure that I never clocked it in. Like I always wanted to make sure that my work was top quality, that I was continuing to get jobs because I was good, because they wanted me to come back, and because I was reliable. And so I think when it comes to if you want to go into voice acting, if you want to go into animation singing, I would say, first off, the same advice I would give to someone who wants to go into film: just make things, like sing things, sing it, write. As I would say, write a bunch of scripts. Don't stop writing. Write for yourself. Finish something and then move on to the next thing. And I would say the same thing for singing. Sing your favorite Phineas and Ferb song, or write songs, put them on YouTube. Make a reel. Make a good like 2-minute reel. and just have that at the ready for the time when you meet someone that needs it. Because the people that are going to be elevated, the people that are going to get these opportunities, are the people that are ready for it. They're going to be there for the people that have dedicated their life to singing, or have that have all of this real material. That's like, of the people that I know that got into it from the ground up, that's how they did it. I was fortunate enough to have sort of a little bit of a kick into the right direction.
Right.
And so I think that for someone that wants to do that, it's what I'm doing with writing right now, because I really want to write. I want to write TV. I want to write films, and like I needed to just get out of my head of being like, oh, I'll write when somebody pays me for it. It's not. You just assume that's not going to happen, and write because you love it, because it makes you feel good, and that eventually when you're at a party, or you run into somebody at the subway, that needs something, or you have a job like I have, and you get to have a conversation with an executive producer. You have this stack of things that you've written that you can show for yourself,
right?
And that's only going to happen if you commit to doing it without a deadline, or without somebody asking you to do it. And that's what'll get you all the way to the top.
Be prepared with your elevator pitch, right?
Exactly. Be prepared with your elevator pitch. Have a ton of scripts. Write a bunch of spec scripts. Write a bunch of original things. And then as a singer, do a bunch of covers. Put them up on YouTube. Like, have things to show.
How viable are spec scripts nowadays? Because like, I know with writing, especially on Twitter, writers will be like, please don't send me ideas because I can't do it. Are spec scripts still like a viable way to get into the industry, or is that kind of
it depends, honestly, because I've taken like general meetings with a couple of people, and like Dan Swampy, I'm grateful enough to be able to be on a talking relationship with them, that I can actually talk to them and ask them advice. They've always been like my biggest, particularly Swampy and Dan. I honestly, both of them have been like big champions of my creative work. But I've also taken meetings with other people, and it depends on the executive producer. It depends on who's creating the show. Because it's literally split down the middle. It's like some executive producers, some creators want to see that you have the ability to match somebody's voice.
Right.
So in which case they'd want to see a spec of something. They say, oh, they wrote an episode of, like, the spec that I had in my back pocket was Daredevil. I had a Daredevil spec because I was watching that show, and like, and I thought that I matched that tone really, really well. But
season 4 got canceled.
I was also like 20. And what did I know? But I've also heard an equal amount of people saying that original things is what people want to see more of, because of these streaming services, because there's more of an avenue for original voices, and there's more of a hunger for people with unique perspectives, that having something original in your back pocket is always going to be more helpful than having a spec. I've heard both. So my advice is to have both. Have a couple of spec. If you want to be a television writer, have a couple of specs in your pocket from shows that are currently in the air, and write a couple of original pilots. Again, have the stack. You don't have to literally have a stack. Save some trees, but like, have the stack of things that you can show for when you're eventually given the opportunity.
Right.
To show it.
Especially now during quarantine, when you have all this spare time and the ability to binge TV too.
Exactly. Listen, it's a very good time to be working on a Netflix show. The show that the cartoon that I work on Netflix as a coordinator, which is very, very mature and inappropriate for the younger people. Is I'm fortunate that because it's a Netflix show, and because it's animation, that everybody in the crew, who I love dearly, we all get to still work. Which is really nice.
Oh, that's nice. You actually get to go in to, is it like a socially distanced workplace, or is it just from home?
No, right now it's from home, and we're gonna there's talks that like at some point within the next month they'll start rolling people back into the office. We have the bento box office that I work at's out in for those that are in Los Angeles, it's out in like North Hollywood in that area. Yeah, it's hopefully we get back in there, because I'm getting a little stir crazy.
Yeah. So let's see. So we got the favorites list. I know you talked about kind of your favorite Milo songs, but favorite songs from Phineas that you did and didn't sing. So like, maybe favorite song you didn't sing, or just generally top songs that like stick out to you.
Favorite song I sang for Phineas. I'm gonna take Curtain Call and Time Spent off that list because that will always that's exists on a whole other level that is always going to be like the best, like my favorite thing I've ever done. Period. Yeah. If it wasn't that, I loved doing the Alka Files theme song for the Alka special.
Yes.
That I don't know why. I think it's because it's in a genre of music that I've never heard of before in my entire life, and it just sounds so unique. And I got to like do like a really heavy rock and roll song that I don't normally get the chance to do that. I'm normally like the sweet, I do all the sweet, tender, like teeny bop things. But like that was something that was really fun because that was a style that I'd really never done before. And then song that I haven't sung, Brick.
It's fun.
Brick. It's fun.
That's good.
Brick. I would have to say Brick.
That's fantastic. Like, okay, so kind of going back to, before we continue with the favorites, going back to the different voices. I know, like, Fun Spot, or not Fun Spot, Fun House. Is it Fun House? Yeah, Fun House is, like, sung in, like, a very, very different style versus even something like, the Alka Files theme. Like, is that part of direction, or is that after they kind of change it after you're done singing it?
That's me taking a big old chance and hoping that it works. That's me taking a big swing that nobody asked me to do, and then them saying, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." With Funhouse, what was funny about that was that around the same time that I did Funhouse, I don't know if this was I think it was probably a little bit before, I was doing like a teenage musical theater workshop where I was doing Seussical and I was the mayor of Whoville.
Oh.
And that was the voice that I was doing. That was like the voice that I did for that show. So like I was that kind of like like that like kind of like
radio announcer house, baby.
Yeah, that's how I sang all my songs. So like that was no work because I was already doing it on stage in this little
for
camp
Seussical,
that I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Seussical, which was that was a lot of fun. But like that's kind of just where that came from. Again, the Drusselstein thing too. The demo for that was definitely not in a German European accent, and definitely just did it and definitely just crossed my fingers.
That one,
and they definitely decided to take it.
That's so crazy. Was there ever a time that Dan Swampy, like, you threw something and maybe it didn't work, or they asked you to do it differently, and you think it was like a better decision, or did they pretty much just kind of go with everything that you threw?
No, I mean they're more often than not with Dan and Swampy. They're really good at. I mean, they're very good. They have very good instincts. They have very good. I mean, I don't know what they're like when they're actually writing these episodes. Like I don't.
It's like completely different.
It's completely different. From my perspective, it seems like they are very impulsive people in like the best way possible, where they take an idea and they stick with it and they run with it and they don't linger on if it's a bad idea, if it's a stupid idea, because everything they take, it just seems from my perspective that they run with it and they make it as good as it could possibly be. So thankfully all the big swings that I've made in my songs, they've liked. But it's a little bit different with something like, for instance, Lion Guard. Like that was something that I really had to work at, because the style of songs in that show are very unique and very like individual to that show.
Right, because it's tied to like a big Disney property, like the way it does with Tangled or something. There's a certain set of rules with the big Disney animated Renaissance sequel.
So I had to work at I had to do that one the 2 songs that I did for that show. I had to do them a couple of times to like really make sure that not only was the voice somewhat accurate to Max Charles, but also like that I was singing in that kind of more contemporary rock style, which is something that I didn't really have the chance to do with Phineas or Milo that much, because I was either like big jazzy Broadway guy or like ripping off One Direction or something with chop chop chop. Dan and Swampy write very wordy lyrics.
Oh yes,
and it's very hard to eat those words and spit them out. It is very difficult.
You have to look at the lyrics to even understand sometimes. There'll be certain songs where it's just like describing what's happening or providing commentary on the scene, or just
You know, they do what they do, and it works so well.
They really do. But so yeah, favorite song sung is Zack. Was it probably Chop Chop Chop? I'm guessing, just because.
I'd say, yeah. I think that's because that was I don't know, man. Like that to me it was, and this is just my opinion, and it's not just because I sang it, but like I felt like that song is very much like the Gitchy Gitchy Goo of Milo, and
Definitely.
somebody please tell me I'm wrong. Like I am not the authority on that, but like
No, you're not wrong. That's kind of it because they bring it back a lot of times. Baljeet sings it in season 2, and
he does. I love that. Again, to have somebody else sing, that's another weird. That was like another weird, like dissonant moment where like hearing somebody else sing the thing that I did is always kind of bizarre too. Yeah, I'd say Chop for Milo. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. So let's see. We talked about favorite songs from Milo that you did sing. Favorite ones that you didn't sing from Milo. I'm thinking there's like Pressure, which is the one with Doofenshmirtz and Jermaine Clement, which that was a pretty big one. Weird Al did Rooting for the Enemy. How Do I Do It? There's trying to think of other.
How Do I Do It? How Do I Do it? That's the one that's that's the one that's kind of Bruno Marsy, right?
Yeah, it's the Uptown Funk style song.
Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
That one is great. That one was one I was like, that would have been great. And Rooting for the Enemy, I did the demo for that one. And then Al replaced it. And I love that Queen kind of style, boom 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 kind of style of that song. That one makes me smile.
Yeah. Rooting for the Enemy is really, really good. And then there's No Day Like a Snow Day, which was by Olivia Olson. That was in season 2.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
I like that.
Da 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 da. It's kind of.
That's a good one. God, again, 300, 400 of these songs. And when I hear the little like I barely remember any of these anymore, but like hearing just the couple notes of it is it's bringing me back.
Or how about I'm a Catastrophe? That was one by Dan Povenmire and Michael Koros. They kind of
that's a good one.
That was the rock song.
I'm a Catastrophe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was one of my favorites from season 2. But
hashtag release the Milo album,
please. I really wish there was an extended version of How Do I Do It too, because you're saying that was really good. I'm sure you've probably heard the full lyrics of that. I imagine there has to be a second verse for that one.
I think there is. I don't want to confirm or deny anything, but like I think that one feels like it should be longer at least. I will say that it feels like there should be a second verse.
Yeah.
To that
if you're bringing Weird Al in to sing, you're probably gonna get 2 verses out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Favorite episodes? Are there any episodes? Obviously, with finale withstanding of Phineas and Ferb, of the show.
Yeah.
Like, just specifically, was like a joke that you remember from being a kid and watching it that just struck a chord with you? For me, I remember it was the first episode that I saw. It was the Doof backstory about he's going Grievel, and he wants to evaporate the public pool because his mom would never let him swim in the public pool as a kid. And I think I just saw that one episode out of context, and that joke just stuck with me until I could actually. The joke
that kills me is Doof. I don't know what episode it's from, but it's the one that where it's one of his backstories, and it was talking about. I think it leads into him talking about how he was raised by a pack of ocelots, but it's where he's like, both of my parents didn't show up for my birth. That one. Again, I don't know what episode that is, but that one I remember. Even when I was young, I was like, I remember really, really thinking that was very, very funny.
Yeah. Would you say you have a favorite Milo episode and/or season, like season 1 or season 2? Which one's your favorite?
I like season 2 because it gets weird. It gets real weird. But I will say I love the season 1 finale of Milo.
Fungus Among Us is
Fungus Among Us
tier.
Is great. That's a great one. I don't think I did any like wrote any music for it, but like I worked heavily on that episode as my dad's music editor. So like that, I know that episode very, very intimately. I just think it's just like a great piece of action.
It's so well
and
paced, and somehow the
it's so well
comedy
paced.
and the jokes are like they're backfiring, but you're never losing any of the tension. I don't know how they do that. That one's it's mind boggling.
And then the wrap up in the season 2 opener, like I think the whole story there, I think is great, honestly.
Yeah, Hope Stashion story, and then and continuing to season 2 with the Octalians. Do you edit your music to when you did do the music? Did you edit to the storyboards, or were you kind of working with the final animation? Because I know Dan's kind of saying they don't have the final mix done for Candace, but a lot of the animation is in. So like, are you working with the animation or the storyboard or a combination?
So you talking about for the movie?
For when you did Milo. I don't know what you're doing on the movie. I don't think I can do too much yet.
I don't know what I'm doing for the movie. I don't know what you're talking about. But from Milo, it was always the animation was for the most part done. It was, I mean, there's always little changes.
Yeah.
There's always different versions of when color comes back. The score for the most part is typically for TV animation, at least. It's the same with the shows that I work at Bento Box, where it's the at least the first round of color has come in. Yeah. And then the animators are going back and they're doing different edits and they're tweaking different things.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Exactly. A lot of times though, fortunately with both Phineas and Milo, for the most part, timing was locked by the time it arrived at either my desk or my dad's. So there weren't many last minute changes.
Yeah, I have to assume, especially with like music cues too, because like certain jokes that work with music cues, you kind of gotta have that time just right.
And I've done a couple of animated shorts, like done the music for animated shorts, and I've done them when the timing is not locked, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to have to stretch and squeeze. It's the fact that there was anything locked when Milo, specifically Milo, because that's freshest in my memory. Those were typically locked when they would come in. So that was always a nice thing. And then if there was anything that changed, a lot of times they'll do the big mix, which is where we go to a studio they go to a studio out in Burbank, and we sit and we put the episode up on a big screen, and they do all the fun. They marry the sound effects and the music together, and there's some nudging that goes on then too.
So you send them kind of like the file with all the things they can still adjust if they need to. It's not like you press export.
So one of my jobs was, again, this is very riveting stuff for your fans, but like one of those jobs was that I would create a Pro Tools package so all the score would be in a Pro Tools file that I would zip together and send over to the mixers, and then they could then have at it in whatever way they saw fit.
No, that's really cool. There's lots of different jobs. It's like these are the things you don't usually hear about in the film industry. It's usually just, hey, the actors and the directors, aren't they great?
The whole reason that I wanted to go into filmmaking in the first place was because like I would get the DVDs of movies that I liked, not to watch the movie, but to watch like the behind the scenes stuff that happened, like all the bonus features. Like that was my bread and butter, and I was like, you could do that that's a job. I could get a paycheck to like walk around and play pretend for the rest of my life. That sounds rad. I want to do that. So all this behind the scenes, I get excited about it. I get excited when I talk about like specifically like composing stuff, like composing gear, sample libraries, digital audio workstations, like all this stuff, microphones. Oh, it's I'm in heaven. But it's I can imagine it being so boring for anybody else, but it's heaven to me.
No, yeah, I think it's really interesting, especially doing a lot of like not necessarily producing, but like video editing and cutting and all that sort of stuff at home. And I'm sure you did a lot of that too with your short films and everything else that you did in college.
Oh yeah, especially when I was trying to be that one man band. A lot of the guys a lot of the people that I looked up to as filmmakers like were on YouTube. There were a lot like YouTube people, and they were all one man bands. So that's like what I wanted to try to do. And then I realized in college, there are people out there who are so much better at these things than I am. And will bring something that I didn't expect to a project that I'm working on. Hiring a cinematographer, hiring another composer. Like I would want nothing more than I would love the idea of making a movie and doing the music, but like the idea of having to bring somebody else in to think of something that I had never really thought of before.
For your score,
the last couple of shorts that I've done, I haven't done the music for like the last 3 shorts that I've done because I like what other people bring. I want to hear what they have to say, and they'll always surprise me.
Who would you say you're the closest to within the Milo Phineas crew? Is there like a specific person that you've met through the show, other than your dad, obviously?
I was about to say dad. Daniel Jacob. No. Well, I think I think Dan and Swampy obviously they have my relationship with them has gone through so many different phases. Like I was a kid for the longest time, and now I'm a lot older, and my career path is a little bit closer to what they're doing with their lives, and so I've had a lot more to talk about with them. And I think I would say the two of them. I would say surprisingly, I wish I talked to him more because he's a great guy. But Vincent Martella and I will occasionally tweet at each other very silly, stupid things. Yes, so I did a short film with Vincent called Riley, and that was where we kind of became a little bit more close.
Yeah, because you guys are kind of the same age because you grew up both doing Phineas, right?
Yeah, I think he's a touch older than me, but like we were basically around the same age when we were doing Phineas. And a lot of times I would do the demos that Phineas would sing. A lot of times I would just do them, and I would not do a Phineas voice because I cannot do that voice. Vincent's like really the only person that could do that. But there's a and then through Milo too with his work on as Bradley as well. We were as we both became a little older, we sort of became friendly, and I'd like to stay in touch with him. He's a good guy.
People want to know your opinion on Scott and Mildred as a couple.
Scott and Mildred. Wait, which?
This is from Milo, the Scott the Undergrounder, and Mildred the Milk Carton. The perennial relationship.
Oh, love. Oh, it's the purest. It is the purest depiction of love that I've seen in media. The French have nothing on this depiction. I think it's, what kind of a question is that? It's pure, it's brilliant, it's beautiful.
and do you prefer Scott and Mildred or Mrs. Morosky and her desk? These are the ships. These are the ship wars for Milo.
You know, Sarah Chalk, who plays Mrs. Morosky, is a series regular on the show that I work on Netflix, and I connected with her about this.
That's so
and
cool.
She still feels very strongly about her performance with this desk. That is a god honest tie. I cannot pick between those two. That is a god honest tie.
I love how Dan will tell the story. He's like, yeah, that was actually based off a real teacher that I had in school.
It is based off a real teacher that a slightly more inappropriate story, but it is based off of a teacher that he had.
Wow. All right. So yeah, let's go back. Let's see. Is Amanda Milo's milk carton?
Yeah. I think we all have a milk carton in our lives. I think that we need to look past the expiration date sometimes because they're still good. You know, it's not always, they don't always go bad.
That was a great joke. Scott's like, I'm not being chauvinistic. You have an expiration date.
You have an expiration date.
They're like in counseling.
Yes. I think everybody has their own.
Let's see. Somebody says they've been obsessed with Dance Baby in the last couple of days. Is that one that you sing on a regular basis? Because I know that's one that when my friend, I don't lead with the fact that I sang on Phineas and Ferb when I meet new people. So when my friends, I'm a Phineas and Ferb singer. I sang on Disney's Phineas and Ferb. No, but when they find out somehow, Dance Baby is the first thing that they'll send me. They're like, was this you? And I'm like, yes, that's me. It's my mom's ringtone on her phone when I call, which is beautiful. I love that song. I love that. Chop 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 and Dance Baby are, I think that's my legacy. that one's lyrics. I don't know if they just thought, what are the most insane words that we can rhyme? I think they put.
That sounds about right.
Dance baby, soak your hat, ring it out, take it to the laundromat.
Ring it out, take it to the laundromat. Dance baby. It's bananas.
And that's when they actually got to play. They actually just like took 2 minutes out of the episode and played the song, which again.
I know, it's a whole music video. It's really great. It's
brilliant.
Fantastic.
Go down to the pier and get some fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Move, baby, motivate your limbs. Never eat a cactus.
Motivate your limbs.
Never eat a cactus if you're out of practice.
Wise. These are wise words.
They're saying in Latin Spanish, the show loses so much charm because they replace the singers, which is kind of sad. I do know I don't know if you've listened to it, but the German version of "I'm Taking a Stroll," apparently they got a famous German swing singer to sing the German version. Because I was kind of looking through the different languages, and like in the comments of that one, they're like, "Oh, it was so cool in the German dub. They actually got like a famous German swing singer to sing it," and it's like really cool. It's like these little things you don't even think about. Great. Like it's getting translated to different languages, and different people are singing it. And
I when I'm feeling a little bit narcissistic, but I also kind of want to scare myself, I'll go and I'll look up all the different versions of like Dance Baby or Chop Chop Chop. Especially like the ones that like don't sound anything. I think don't sound anything like me. And the thing is, all of those guys are fantastic singers too. I feel bad because like vocally, it sounds like all the international people that do my songs are like so much better trained. I'm not like a trained singer. Like I sang in the shower once and decided that I'm gonna just roll with it. Like all these people, they sound so trained and so precise, and I'm like,
I did it first.
That sounds great, dude.
Congratulations. You got my part. All right, let's see. Somebody wants to know, and I don't know how much you can say because non-disclosure agreements, but are you singing any songs in the new Phineas movie?
There are songs.
There are songs. In the Phineas. Dan said there were like 13 new songs, I think, for the Phineas movie, which is 13. Exciting.
That's... I mean, there might be, actually.
He said some of them were like short, like there's the like really quick bits, but like I'm sure there's gonna be probably.
I think if you added them all up like that, I think that makes sense. Yes, there are songs in the Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe movie.
And that's all you're gonna say. Anyways,
that's all I'm gonna say.
If you are on Disney Plus waiting for the movie, please watch Milo Murphy's Law, because if you wanted to get a season 3. And you want to hear more songs from Dan and Swampy, highly, highly, highly recommend that you get those.
I encourage everybody to swarm Phineas and Ferb on Disney Plus, Milo on Disney Plus, and watch the movie, because I would love to see more of these things.
Replay the Dance Baby video on YouTube multiple times. Get it. Listen to all the fire music. Let's see if Scott X.
I will say that I have seen it. I have seen the movie.
We got. Oh, you have.
I've seen it. I've seen the. I mean, it's
the animatic version. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen like. The story has been told to me on a screen, in ways, and I'm very excited about it.
All right, that's good. That's good. Good to know that it's not the flaming garbage coming back to the. It's not like, yes, we return to the series 30 years later with none of the original crew to milk it now.
No. I mean, there's some screenshots out there, so everybody's coming back.
Yeah, you got Jeremy, Stacy. It's gonna be a good time. Apparently, so we got somebody saying, if Scott is with Mrs. Morosky, would you ship the desk and Mildred?
That's a scandal right there, and I don't want to tarnish my good name by endorsing such adulterous behavior. By two inanimate objects.
That is very wise. This is wisdom from Mr. Jacob. Wise words with Mr. Jacob. That's gonna be the screenshot for the interview. You know it when I make the thumbnail.
Oh, good. What, this?
Yes.
Great.
All right.
I'll give you more.
Somebody asking, why is there so much dating with inanimate things in Milo? They say you write from the heart.
Yeah, you write from the heart. And I think you'll have to direct your questions to whatever psychiatric help the writers are getting. If they might be able to help you with that.
All right, let's see. We got somebody saying Bradley and Carla is the OTP.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts on Cabin Puss? I have all thoughts on Cabin Puss. I have every single one about Cabin Puss. There's no thought that I don't have about Cabin Puss.
When you first learned about Cabin Puss, what was the reaction? Was it, that's normal weird, or was it like, did it stand
It was
out?
it was something along the lines of like, okay.
Swampy they needed another character, and they didn't have another voice actor. It's like, what can we do?
I want to see what here.
Oh yeah, I'm a little
Do you
behind.
think that if Milo?
How does it feel to work with Weird Al? Have you actually gotten to meet Al with the show, or no?
Unfortunately, I've not been able to work with Weird Al. I have heard though great things about him. And being able to say that I have sung, that I sang lead on a song that Weird Al sang background on, that's fun to say.
Yeah, Weird Al sang background for my song.
Yeah. I've sang background for his songs too. Like he is that is a very fun thing that I get to say, and I would love to eventually meet him one day because he sounds like a very, very wonderful guy.
Being critical of yourself, what is the worst song that you sang on either Phineas or Milo, without criticizing the songwriters?
Wow, that's a good one. There's a song that's coming to memory right now that is actually, it's not a Phineas and Ferb or a Milo song. It's a Lion Guard song that the reason that I think I sang it while I was sick.
Ooh. And
I feel like and they used the take of, they didn't bring me back. They used that take, and like I'm sure it sounds fine. But I know that day I was beating my head against a wall because I was afraid that I wasn't going to hit certain notes.
You could have done
and that.
Better.
I mean, that happens too. I mean, like I can guarantee you that's happened on a Milo or a Phineas song that I've pushed through some nice throat coat or lemon and honey in order to get that.
But when they're done with the post process, it's so hard to tell. But
it's a beautiful program called Melodyne. It's a tuning program. It's very helpful.
Which is better, Aaron, Cavanpuss or Dakotapuss?
Wow. The discourse right now is very intense by your fans. I love it. I love this. This is fantastic. Somebody draw. I'm sure somebody on here draws things. Draw a Dakotapuss.
I've never seen a Dakotapuss. That, I think you just probably inspired fan art tonight. Stay tuned to Twitter.
Please, no, I'm serious. Somebody draw a Dakotapuss. We'll do a side by side, and then I will make an informed decision.
We'll take the poll. Let's see. Do you have a favorite show in general? I guess outside of Phineas or Milo. Maybe favorite animated series, favorite live action.
I love More Than Life Itself, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon.
Oh, I've heard such good things about that.
It's such a brilliant show. Favorite animated show? I just finished watching season 7 of the Clone Wars on Disney Plus.
So good. D. Bradley Baker.
That was pretty good. I was a late incomer. I mean I'm a Star Wars nut, but mainly just like the films. I never really was able to get into the shows. But then this next season, this final season came out, and so I watched there are like 20 essential episodes. I'm such a fake fan. I watched like the 20 essential episodes leading up to season 7 that Disney Plus said, "Oh, watch these ones and you'll get what happens in season 7." I will say there are some moments. The last 4 episodes of that season are some of the best animation, some of the best animated TV that I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's
best
incredible.
Writing, best like framing of cinematography, best lighting, best action. It blew me away.
It's basically a movie. Like when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Favorite Phineas and Ferb reference on Milo Murphy's Law?
When the roller coaster falls into Melissa's backyard.
That one's pretty good.
That's that sort of back alley like world building that makes me very, very happy as a writer.
The connections, then tying it all together. Phineas and Ferb Star Wars. Did you sing anything for the Star Wars?
No, but some of the best songs are in that episode, and I wish I did.
Yeah. Because I know they got in the Empire. Tatooine is an absolute gem.
They're all bops, man. They're all
yeah.
That whole soundtrack is amazing. Here on Tatooine is amazing. I think I listen to In the Empire regularly, and I think the tune that Olivia sings at the end.
Oh yeah, Rebel Let's Go.
Rebel Let's Go is a great. That whole soundtrack is fantastic. I wish I had done that. Of all of the crossover specials, the only one that I did was the Marvel episode. I did there's a Surf and Asteroid song. I think is in the beginning of that.
That's hilarious because when they aired the episode, the vocal track wasn't playing the first time. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you do?
I do remember.
You watched that?
I remember that.
Oh no! That must have felt so terrible.
I remember that. Well, because I know how animation works, I'm like, oh, they just decided to turn it into a piece of underscore. Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. So I was like, it's whatever, it's fine. But then I realized it was a mistake, and I was like, oh, for some reason that made me angry.
It's like I was opening up the Marvel crossover that millions of people across the world were watching, and I didn't put it in. I can imagine that. I can imagine that. You're entitled to that amount of satisfaction with the song.
I've let it go. I've let my resentment go.
there's no hard feelings between the editing team and Disney for and watch that be. That's probably the version that they put on Disney Plus.
Yeah, God, that makes sense. Yeah,
given that everything's out of order. If you were given the chance to write a Milo episode, what would your pitch be? Have you thought about that, or like, because in theory, if you're good friends with Dan Swampy, the writers' room probably isn't more than a knock or a call away.
I had an idea once. It didn't work. It doesn't work because it like.
It's the way the can shaped is not doesn't fit with it now.
Well, I had an idea for an episode where I thought it would be fun to see Milo taking a driving test.
Oh, the driver's license test. Because I know there's a joke with his mom, and she's like, one more year till the driver's license. Or
yeah, the reason is because I think the reason that I don't think it worked is because he's supposed to be 14 or something in the show, 13 or 14 or something like that, and like you show a 13 or 14-year-old behind a wheel, maybe not the best thing to do on Disney, but the idea was I think the idea that I had was like the Murphys always like teach. The Murphy men always are taught driving over the course of like several years because that's how long it takes for something to go right. And then it would be, I think it was going to be like an episode about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking you could bring back since, Doof is living with them, it's time for Milo to get his driver's license. So Doof is like, oh, let me take you to the Doofenshmirtz Department of Motor Vehicles. And
enter another great song.
Enter the driving.
A reprise of a very great song.
The Milo driving test waltz. Was "Gotta Get Gone" your song?
Gotta Get Gone. I don't remember that one.
Gotta Get Gone. Did you sang the what's it called? Looking High and Low for Milo, where it's like, somebody's gotta go find Milo. That's actually my dad, I think.
Oh,
that was Danny who did the bear song.
I think that one again. Wiki man.
It's like you sung Scratch, and then your dad sung the final.
That's happened before where it's vice versa, where I've sung Scratch for him and he's sung Scratch for me, and there are some times where I can't tell the difference, and it reminds me of my mortality a little bit, but it's fine. We don't have to talk about that.
Who sung the song? We'll never know. It's sometimes hard for us to tell because they'd never put at the early days of Phineas, they would actually credit like who wrote the song, who sung the song, that sort of thing. But the way TV animation has changed, the original songs in things like Tangled that are, I think, bigger budget, they get like Alan Menken. It's like, we're going to credit Alan Menken with the song. But Milo, it's just like, all music by Danny Jacob. That's the only credit for everything.
The whole dang thing. He gets his own card.
That's right.
He's very happy about it.
Oh, I'd imagine so. That's a big thing. And I think I saw this earlier, but favorite love handle song from either Milo or Phineas. I know mine is obscure because mine is, it's a giant 3D scrapbook and it's all about you and it's all about you. That's my favorite love handle song, but everyone's always like, it's Ain't Got Rhythm or,
I'm a big Snuck Your Way into Your Heart.
Oh yeah.
Fan. I'm a big, and it's, I know it's such a basic it's a basic song to like, but it's just, it reminds me. It reminds me. I love like the 80s like 80s rock bands. I love
Yeah.
like Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and all those folks. So like I that kind of stuff I love.
Aaron, somebody's saying Aaron Jacobs demands the whole population of North America have squirrels shoved into their trousers.
Sorry, is that your byline for the?
Oh my gosh,
man, I gotta get a publicist for these things. Good God.
People are putting words into your mouth in the comment section. Okay, so the song that they were asking about is like, we gotta get gone, baby. Gotta get gone. Get gone, gone. Gotta get gone. I don't know if you sung it.
Gotta get gone. Getting gone. Getting.
Oh, so are you remembering, or is this just ad?
No, this is me having a stroke. I don't know. This is me realizing that I skipped lunch and it coming back to haunt me.
I feel that. Okay, Robot Riot. Do you remember Robot Riot?
I do remember Robot Riot.
This is a Robot Riot. Good Love Handle song.
A good one. Yeah.
Totally off topic, but have you ever thought about doing any composing for theme park attractions? Given how much you love like Disneyland?
That would be a dream come true, actually.
That would be a dream.
Actually, one of my dreams is to write the music for a fireworks show.
Oh man, the song "Happily Ever After" that they use at the Magic Kingdom now, that's crazy. Have you heard the score for Flight of Passage, which is like, it's like rearranged James Horner, but it's like,
it's good. It's really good. My favorite piece of theme park music though is definitely Soarin' Over California. Wait, is that?
Oh my gosh, Jerry Goldsmith.
That's my favorite piece of theme park music, and then the fireworks show that made me want to write music for fireworks was Wishes. It was, they originally did it in the 50th anniversary, which is when I was a kid. I went for the 50th anniversary. I saw that fireworks show, and I was brought to tears. And then the new version of Fantasmic that came out, with the way that they rearranged all the music for the California version of Fantasmic, blew me away exceptionally. I would love to do that.
I've heard fantastic things about Wishes. I need to go back and just listen to it, because you're never going to get the visual impact that it has, but no, I think what they did with Happily Ever After, I think, is really solid.
I have a friend who works who unfortunately didn't even get a chance to do it, but works the parade for that new parade that's at Disneyland right now.
Oh, the Paint the Night, maybe.
No, but that's a great parade. I love that parade. It's whatever the new one is. And she didn't get a chance.
Magic Happens.
Magic Happens. She said it was the best thing that Disney's ever done. I was very excited to watch it. Obviously, cannot do that now.
The original Soarin' arrangement, though, that is I listen to Soarin' Over the World. It just doesn't hit the same. Doesn't hit the same beats.
Look, I think it is. I don't want to dock the person that whoever did Soarin' Over the World.
No, because that was you had to try really hard to.
Yeah, well, and it's Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, he is he's up there with Williams. Like, he's such a master at what he does. The fact that Soarin' Over the World got close is a miracle, and I commend that composer greatly for doing what they did.
I think the best thing about Soarin' Over the World is that when you go to the different countries, the score changes to the influence of that music, which is something that the original couldn't do because you weren't going to different countries.
Exactly, and I think that's great. And I love that about Soarin' Over the World. But Jerry's theme, the theme that he created, the arrangement of that. If you know anything about music, the arrangement of that, the orchestration of it is akin to some like films that he's done. It's just fantastic.
So this is another long rumored thing. Apparently, there was a time when Imagineering was working on a actual Phineas and Ferb attraction. Have you heard anything about it? It got tabled when Disney decided to end the series because they already had World Showcase Adventure. Which, did you sing anything for World Showcase Adventure? Or
no, but I did it. I went and I did the Perry the Platypus thing. It was very fun.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
But no, I didn't do anything for World Showcase. I've only been to Disney World a couple of times, and I've loved. I want to go back very, very badly. But I've not heard about a Disney Phineas and Ferb attraction, but I want it. I want to have it. I want to do it.
I just want to see the Phineas and Ferb animatronics. I want to see Imagineering tackle it.
I want to see Phineas and Ferb at the end of Fantasmic, man.
Or in the Happily Ever After. Like, they deserve to be there. And like you said, it's surreal to hear your music in the parks too. It'd be crazy if they got you to sing in a song for like, because I've thought for a long time about like if Dan Swampy did a theme park attraction, you know there would be a big musical number within the ride, and you know there'd probably be like a pre-show song.
Oh yeah,
and
that's to sing something for a theme park be a dream. Now that I can like process it a little bit more, that I'm not like a child.
It's like, I guess I'm an adult. The work world is open.
Exactly. If I can actually process what's happening, I'd love to sing a song for a theme park again. And obviously in the future, I'd love to write the score for a fireworks show. I think that would be great. But thank you. But I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed talking with you. I enjoyed answering the questions. I enjoyed talking to you. I've known of you on Twitter for many a year, so it was really lovely to put a face to that.
Absolutely, and it was so great to meet you too. Thank you again, just so much for joining.
Awesome. All right, take care, guys. All right.
Adios.
Adios. Bye.